Dear devotees, for the last 9 days, we have been reflecting and praying the Ten Commandments. Today, we come to the last of the Ten Commandments. It is, you shall not covet your neighbor's goods. It is fitting that this is the last, not because it is least important, because it addresses the root of so many sins, the inner desires of the heart. Unlike the commandment, thou shalt not steal, which prohibits an external action, this commandment speaks what is hidden, our thoughts, our desires, our greeds, and the longing we often try to ignore. To covet is more than just wanting something. It's to want what belongs to another in a way that disturbs our peace, poisons our relationships, and pulls away from God. It is a restless craving, a discontentment that says, what I have is not enough. I need what they have or what others have. The Tenth Commandment is just not a rule. It is an invitation to examine our hearts and to ask, am I grateful for what God has given me? Or am I looking over the fence wishing I had someone else's blessing? Why is coveting dangerous? First and foremost, it brings dissatisfaction. It blinds us to the gifts we have already received. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we forget how blessed we are. A heart that covets, remember, is never at peace. Second, it opens the door to sin. Coveting can lead to lying, stealing, cheating, and even breaking relationship. It begins in the mind, but it can end in destructive choices. Jesus, in the Gospel of Luke chapter 12, warns about a man who demands his inheritance. Jesus does not solve his financial dispute. Instead, he tells a parable about a rich man who stores wealth but not rich in God. And that very night, God calls him, and Jesus asks us whose wealth it will be. Covetousness had blinded that rich fool. Third, coveting distances us from both God and others. When we are consumed with all what others have, we stop seeing them as people created by God, as people who are in image of God's likeness. We forget. We see them as rivals, as obstacles, and even as enemies. And doing so, we lose sight of love. We forget to love God and our neighbor. It steals also our joy. Real joy does not come from acquiring or possessing more and more wealth. It comes from a heart that is content and grateful, a heart that knows how to rest in goodness. How can we overcome or fight against covetousness? First, cultivate a habit of contentment. St. Paul tells us in one of his letters, I have learned to be content in whatever I have. Contentment does not mean settling for less. It means recognizing what we have. Especially God's grace is more than enough. That's what St. Paul reminds us again and again. Second thing, we need to focus on God and not on others. When God is the center of our life, we stop looking outward in envy, greed, and jealousy and begin to look upward in trust. He is the giver of all good things. Thirdly, practice gratitude. Make it a habit to thank God every day, not only in big things, but in small things. The daily bread that gives us, the daily bread that He has given us, the good health that He has given us. Learn to be appreciative, learn to be grateful. In the end, Tenth Commandment calls us to a better way, not a life of jealousy and comparison, but a life rooted in gratitude, simplicity, and love. When we guard our hearts against coveting, we are free to enjoy what we have and also enjoy the blessings of others.